Hey y'all, today's video is going to be my May recent reads video. I'm filming this a couple days late, but it's okay, it's not a big deal. The first book I read in May is called Love Points to You, and I gave this book 5 stars. And it's about these two girls who basically team up with each other, and they basically work together and they end up falling in love. And it was good, I loved it. It was 5 stars. Then I read Winnie Nash is Not Your Sunshine, and I gave this book 3 stars. And it's about this girl who basically is trying to I guess improve herself in the way, and it doesn't go well, so it's that's how I understand the premise of it. Then I read Not an Easy Win, and it's about these two teens who basically try and compete for everything, and it there was some moments that were funny, but it wasn't my favorite. I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Elle Campbell Wins Their Weekend, and it's basically about this teen who basically basically the premise didn't really interest me, unfortunately, but I only gave it 3 stars because I had it on my TBR for a very long time. Then I read Meet Cute Diary, and it's about this boy who basically has a diary, and I only gave it 3 stars. Then I read Just Our Luck, and it's a young adult novel, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Felix Ever After, and it's about this boy who is trans and who basically discovers himself, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read a sequel, which I read the first book last month. The sequel is called The first book is called Once Upon a K-Prom, and then I read the sequel, Wish Upon a K-Star, and it's basically about these two teens who basically, one of them is a star and needs a date at a prom, and the other one is going to prom, and it goes from there, and that was very interesting. I like both books from this author. Solid reads. Then I read Shoot Your Shot by, I can't remember the author's name, but apparently one of the main characters is a TikTok star, and the other one is a hockey player, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read First Time Caller, which is the first book in a series, and it's basically this book about this woman who basically is on a radio host show, and her daughter is trying to set her up. She's a single mom. It was 3 stars. Could have been better. Then I read The Borrow a Boyfriend Club, and I gave that book 3 stars, and it's basically about this club that basically they have to find boyfriends and stuff. And then I read The Beautiful Game, and it's about this girl who is Mexican, and she loves soccer, and she basically learns how to discover herself and stuff, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read The Real Wish by the same author, and it's about this girl who was a ballerina, and it goes from there, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read The Trouble of Sunshine, and it was about this girl who tragically lost her mom in an accident, and it goes from there. It was very sad, very emotional, 3 stars. Then I read Kites and Lemonades, and I gave that book 4 stars. Then I read Buckle Up, and I gave this book 4 stars, and it's about this boy and his dad who go on drives in their car, and yeah, it was really good. Then I read Crushing It, and it's about these two girls who basically are on the same soccer team, and they like hate each other, and apparently they have no idea that they are like each other's like friend online, and it goes from there. It was so funny. 5 stars. I really loved it. Then I read 12th Grade Night and the sequel King Cheer, which is these middle grades like retellings of like Shakespeare plays, like the 12th Grade Night, and then yeah, I gave both of them 3 stars. And then I read a book called The New Girl, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Keeping Pace, and it's about these two teens who basically like try to like outpace each other, and it's kind of hilarious, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Speechless, which has a character who is nonverbal, and it goes from there, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Art Club, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read The Science of Friendship, and it's another middle grade novel, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Sincerely Cicely, I hope I'm saying that right. It's another middle grade novel, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Maybe It's a Sign, and I gave that book 4 stars. Then I read another book called Squished, and I gave it 3 stars. The Best Friend Bracelet was about these two friends who like made bracelets and stuff, and I gave it 3 stars. Figure It Out, Henry Walden, is about this girl named Henry who has dyslexia and other disabilities, and she basically has to figure out herself, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Dust, and it's about this girl who has asthma and who basically meets a boy who like also has like breathing issues, and they make up a friendship, and I gave it 5 stars. I really loved it. It was really, really good. Then I read The Passing Playbook, and it's about this boy who loves football, and it goes from there, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read B. Mullen Takes a Shot, and it's about this girl who basically like tries to find a sport for her, and like her school tries to like end the hockey team, but her and her friends like don't let that happen, and I gave it 5 stars. It was really, really good. Then I read Crushing It. I gave it 3 stars. It was about these two teens who are basically in 7th grade, and they don't like each other, and yeah. Then I read Tell Me How You Really Feel, and it was about these two people who were on a podcast, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read First Meet Foul, and it's a football romance, and I gave it 3 stars. College. Then I read The 7-10 Split, and it's about these two women who both play bowling, and they meet each other, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read All's Fair in Field Hockey, and I gave it 5 stars. It was really good. It was about these two teen girls who play hockey on opposite teams, and they fall in love.
Speech, playback set, more action, wave, current, play, fast, pause, done, pause, button, transcription, dimmed, pause, button.
Then I read The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane, and it was about these two characters who meet on a show, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Showmance, which was about an actor and a director falling in love, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Roomies, which is about these two girls who are roommates before college, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Stick With Me, and I gave it 5 stars. And it was about these two artists who basically fall in love. Then I read Icebreaker, and it's about these two hockey players who are in college and they are enemies to lovers, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Ruby Ramos' Recipe for Success, and it's about this girl who basically like tries out different recipes, and it goes from there, and I give it 4 stars. Then I read On Again, Awkward Again, 4 stars. Then I read Come and Get Your Glove, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Bold Moves, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read The Sisters Switch, and it's about these two twin sisters who switch lives, and it was hilarious. 5 stars. Then I read Love to Hate You, and I gave that book 5 stars. Then I read Get Real, Chloe Torres, and it's about this girl named Chloe who doesn't want the reality that she's gonna go to college and her friends are gonna go to college and she's gonna graduate high school. And it was very eye-opening. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Eliza from Scratch, 5 stars. It's about this girl named Eliza who basically ends up in the wrong elective, and she ended up being placed in a cooking class, and it was so funny, so good. Then I read The Romance Rivalry, and it's about these two students who basically are rivals, and they have like bookstores and stuff, and it was so good. Then I read If We Were a Movie, and I gave it 5 stars, and it's about these two girls who work at a indie black owned movie theater, and they slowly fall in love. It was so good. Then I read the last book in the Holland Brothers series by Rebecca Janczak, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read With Love from Cold World, which was about these two characters who work at a theme park like Disney World, and I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Painting the Game, and I gave it 3 stars, and it's about this girl who basically is like learning about baseball and stuff. Then I read Next Stop, and it's about this girl who goes on a bus, and it goes from there. Then I read Friends with Benefits, and it's about one of the characters has a chronic illness, and it's a marriage of convenience. Then I read Grow Up, Luchi Zapata. I hope I'm saying that right, but it's another middle grade novel, 3 stars. Then I read No Ordinary Love, and I gave it 4 stars. It's about a pro athlete and a rock star. It was really good, 4 stars. Then I read Change of Pace, 3 stars. Then I read Into the Woods, and it's about a rock star and this like summer camp romance, and it was like good. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Two Can Play That Game, and it's about these two teens who basically like team up to try to like win up one another, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Take a Bow, Noah Mitchell, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read A Dash of Salt and Pepper, and it's about these two men who are basically like in this competition, and it's like over the holidays, and it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends, and I gave it 4 stars. And it's about Audrey who basically meets Bash, and they both have to work with each other to have filled a bucket list. Then I read Promposal, and I gave that book 4 stars. Then I read In Case You Read This, 3 stars. It's about this teen boy who basically like finds like who basically like works at a bookstore, and 3 stars. I thought I was gonna give it a higher rating, but I didn't end up giving it that. Then I read The Love Haters, and I gave it 3 stars. It was about a professional swimmer and the heroine who is I can't like remember her description, but like it goes from there. And like all of her books I've given 3 stars. Like they're just average for me. Catherine Center's book. And then I read Not So Fast by Karen Booth, which is a Formula 1. It was good. I liked it. I'm in my Formula 1 era. I can't drive, but still I love it. I love it. As a visually impaired reader, like I'm obsessed with Formula 1. Then I read The Puck Player, which is the 4th book in the Fairfield U series by, I can't remember the author's name. And then I read Love Notes and Lifelines, 4 stars. Then I read And They Were Roommates, 3 stars. And then I read another book, which is called Come As You Are, and I also gave it 3 stars. Then I read You, Me, and Forever by, I can't remember the author's name right now, but I gave it 4 stars. And then I read the last book in the Love Line, or not Love Line, the Funny Feelings series, and it's the last book, and I gave it 4 stars. So overall in May I had 13 5 stars, and the rest were either 4 and 3 stars.
Pause. Wave. Swipe up to fast forward. Transcription. Pause.